Hey there, tech enthusiasts and movie buffs. Welcome back to All About AI Tech, your weekly dose of all things artificial intelligence. Today, we're tackling a topic that blends two of my biggest passions, AI and cinema. It's a conversation that needs to happen, and I am so glad you're here to join me. We're delving into the increasingly complex relationship between AI and the perpetuation of stereotypes in Hollywood films. You might be thinking, AI and movies? What's the connection? Well, it's deeper than you might think. AI is being used more and more in filmmaking, from scriptwriting to special effects to even casting decisions. And as we explore these examples, you will see how deeply embedded these biases are across modern-day Hollywood films. The algorithms that are guiding many of these decisions aren't necessarily designed to be discriminatory, but they can reflect and even amplify existing societal biases. That's the scary part. It's like a mirror reflecting back a distorted version of our reality, reinforcing harmful stereotypes instead of challenging them. Think about it. If AI is making choices about character representation and the data it's trained on is biased, the output is going to be biased too. We're going to break down some powerful examples from iconic movies that illustrate exactly this problem. Get ready, because this exploration is going to be impactful, thought-provoking, and necessary for our understanding of modern-day Hollywood. Let's rewind the clock for a moment. Think about the classic portrayal of Native Americans in old Hollywood westerns. The hostile savage trope. Remember John Wayne? The image of the stoic, fearless cowboy, often depicted as the very force that pushes the Native American people to be savages, is still deeply embedded within the consciousness of our society today. These weren't just isolated incidents. This kind of representation was systemic, deeply ingrained in the narrative structure, shaping how generations perceived entire cultures. It's a dark chapter in film history, and unfortunately, the impact of those harmful images continues to resonate even today. The historical context is immensely important here. These films were often produced in a time of significant societal prejudice, and the narratives reflected those biases. The problem is, it wasn't just that the films perpetuated stereotypes. They used the power of visual storytelling to solidify these unfair, prejudiced ideas in the minds of audiences for generations to come. That's the power and the danger of ingrained bias in the narrative creation of Hollywood. By seeing those images repeatedly, audiences essentially internalize those discriminatory ideas. And that's what makes this a critical issue that needs to be discussed. Now, let's fast forward to the present. While we've made progress, we still see issues of representation in Hollywood. It's no longer quite the same overt racism present in the westerns of the 1950s. Instead, we often encounter subtle, insidious forms of bias. This includes tokenism, where a minority character is included simply to check a box, without any substantial contribution to the plot or narrative. It's like saying, look, we have a black character, so we're diverse now, without actually addressing the systemic problems of representation. The story will often revolve around a white protagonist, and the minority characters will simply play supporting roles, or often be there only to reaffirm the central identity of the main white character. This does nothing to advance the authentic representation of these minorities. It actually reinforces the underlying power dynamics and systemic issues that were supposed to be challenged. And even worse, through this portrayal, many producers seem to feel that they have done their part to fix their part of the problem. These are far from isolated incidents. We see similar patterns when it comes to the representation of other minority groups in films. The message here is very clear. There's still a long way to go when it comes to genuine equal representation in Hollywood. Let's talk about AI's role in this. AI is becoming increasingly sophisticated and is being used in various stages of filmmaking. It presents a risk of perpetuating the above-mentioned biases and discrimination when being used in the casting process. AI systems are often trained on massive datasets, and if those datasets contain biases, the AI will inherit those biases. For example, if an algorithm is trained on historical casting data that shows a disproportionate number of white actors in leading roles, it might be more likely to recommend white actors for future projects. This isn't about malicious intent. It's about the inherent flaws in the data used to train the algorithm. Think about how many casting directors would be too intimidated to buck the established trends of representation in Hollywood movies. If an AI tells them they should cast a white male, they might simply follow the direction of the algorithm. And this perpetuates the very problem we are discussing. What's even more concerning is that there is little to no transparency behind these algorithmic decisions. It becomes a black box, making it harder to identify and address instances of bias. So, what's the solution? How do we ensure AI is used responsibly in the film industry? It's more than just a matter of diversity quotas. It's about a fundamental shift in the way we approach storytelling. The solution involves several key steps. First, we need to ensure the datasets used to train AI algorithms are representative and inclusive. This requires careful curation and auditing of data to remove biases. Second, we need to develop AI systems that are transparent and explainable. This allows for monitoring and identifying bias in decision-making processes. Third, we need to build in human oversight. AI should be a tool to assist filmmakers, not dictate their creative choices. Human intervention and creative decisions can and should lead to more nuanced and diverse representations. Importantly, we need to promote media literacy to aid audiences to better discern these representations and recognize existing biases. That's where you all come in. By being conscious consumers and viewers, you become a critical part of this movement towards accurate and ethical representation in the motion picture industry. It won't be easy, but it's critically important. The film industry has a huge influence on shaping cultural perceptions and attitudes. By working towards ethical and fair representation, we can contribute to a more understanding and inclusive society. So, what can you do? Well, firstly, be mindful about the movies you watch and support films that prioritize diverse and inclusive storytelling. This is what drives and incentivizes change. Secondly, use the space provided below to discuss the topic and share your thoughts, experiences, and suggestions. What are some of your favorite examples of movies that exhibit diverse casting and storylines? What are your suggestions to mitigate these stereotypes in the film industry? Let's have a discussion and see if we can help drive needed change together. Remember, Hollywood isn't just entertainment, it's a powerful cultural influence. We have to harness that influence for social good. AI is a powerful tool. Let's make sure it's used for the betterment of society and not to perpetuate harmful biases. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next exploration of the world of AI. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the fascinating world of AI.